So thank you, Satyajit, for agreeing to just answer all the questions apart from client meetings. So he was he was the first artist we finalized. We said, no choice. We are presenting the case study. You have to come and speak. So I'm just gonna begin asking you about the one big change in 4 years this strategic marketing initiative itself has done for BK. And how did you envision working with somebody like us, like an arts management company like us? Because initially when we engaged, we were just managing your event. So how do you think you envision that something like this would work for an organization, for an institution that has a legacy itself?
We knew that arts management was a much necessary part of our functioning, but there wasn't anybody doing it. And they were just event managers who would manage the event, but before and after was a big question mark. So when BK50 happened, I think initially we started with discussions on Jungle Book, and that's when in conversation with Ramya, we got to know that this can actually work as an art management profile. So I think we knew that we needed something like this, because earlier Appa and Amma would do everything. They would do all the management, the productions, and everything themselves. But it wouldn't have the consistency, the aesthetics, the relevance that we liked. So, like you said, BK50, we wanted to not only talk about the past, but talk about the future. And the future actually became more important for us. And that's why we had ArtSpire come in. And I think it was very smooth in the sense because we knew that it was necessary. And but we were never at any point doubtful, because the relationship and the way you guys were interacting with us, we didn't really have a client vendor kind of a relationship. And you guys are all also artists. You also sing and dance. You know the backgrounds that we come from, and so that therefore it became very smooth in functioning. Of course, the challenges were with trying to narrow the gap between the old and the new. So with a certain functioning of 50 years, with I would say a certain inertia sometimes comes in when you have 50 years, and kind of getting that inertia, shaking up that inertia and getting it to move is sometimes a challenge. But we did that, I think, very very compassionately also, to the extent that I think now my parents literally call out to ArtSpire, Krishna, yeah. So yeah, my father is like, Krishna. So I think that's the big bridge that we have made, and I think that is a very integral part of the success. Yeah.
But I'm still going to ask you, what is the change you've seen the strategic marketing has done to BK, from the case study itself for the last 4 years?
I think something we were focusing on rather difficult emotionally, but we all thought that during our discussions that it's important to move the institution from just being the Dhananjayans, because Bharatakalanjali was also Bharatakalanjali, but it is the Dhananjayans. Nobody would say a student of Bharatakalanjali, they will say disciple of Dhananjayans. So we wanted to change that, because end of the day, Bharatakalanjali, there is a team. There are other teachers also. Even if they learn with other teachers, they will say disciple of Dhananjayans. So we wanted to change that, and I think to a large extent we have not only managed to change that mindset, but we've also managed to access a whole new set of audiences who probably know a little bit about Bharatakalanjali, little more about Bharatakalanjali than the Dhananjayans. So I think that way, that was our major goal, because if the institution has to go and last longer and be managed by different people, it has to come away from the shadow of the Dhananjayans. And I think it's a very hard transition to make, and it requires a lot of, I think it requires compassion, and I think we managed to get into that space slowly.
That's awesome. So, so every art school, right, they revolve around your own processes and whatever you have to offer and practices. While, like, it may not be visible, there is a lot of this in the background that have been built over years, obviously. So, how has it been for you, like, as somebody who took over from that legacy, to reshape this and, you know, stay relevant itself? Like, so if you can talk about one or two things in this process over the last 4-5 years of your taking over, you've done to stay relevant, like conscious efforts from your end itself.
See, I think the processes were, I mean, it's nice to say they were there, but I think they weren't there, to be honest. And it's only when we come in contact with an organization that's managing that the artistic process is actually highlighted. You make a certain you make the structure for that process, and that way associating with you helped us bring that process into that structure. And for example, in fact, I would go as much as to say sometimes because we had the structure, we had to do certain things for the process, and sometimes we also take for granted that we have done something. We think, oh, this is just this. This is just started over. This is just started over. What is the big deal? But we may have done something a little new with that process. I'm just giving this as an example, which we take for granted, but perhaps needs to be highlighted. That need Yeah. So that way, becoming consistent. We were able to develop a language between the institution and the outside world, and so that's where you came, because we know a certain language. The audience knows a certain language. I don't mean art, but communication. And you helped us structure that language. So I think language is what came out from that.
So I know that you've spoken very nice things about us. And the next question was about the nice things. Okay. But yeah. But I'm just gonna move it a little bit into the space where we've never thought about marketing yourself in BK. Like most of our conversations, it has only been the motivation to be seen, right? So, and that has been the consistent effort that eventually led to actually the marketing we do today. So, if you can elaborate on that mindset, see, that pretty much ties back to what Ramya spoke in the first session. So, if you could elaborate a little bit on your mindset and working with somebody like us to not really market or sell something, but to develop a motivation to consistently talk about your institution or be seen in itself. So a little bit in that space.
I mean, I must mark here that we have worked before the pandemic, we worked during the pandemic, and now we're working after the pandemic. And I think in many pivotal moments, including my photography as well, and then shifting of the space, and then even the most, not insignificant, but small things like a Vijayadashmi Puja, for example. How to put that also into a certain structure as in terms of the eventing. But I think I'd go back to the fact that it was language, because the minute you start discovering that language, then you know how to be consistent about it. When you don't know how to say it, then you won't know how to develop the content. Once it's like you found a style to dance in, and then you start creating with that style. So yeah, bringing out the videos, having testimonials, the posts about things that we have done earlier, tying it with things that we are about to do in the future. I think those are some of the things that you helped us, the correlation of that and putting it out there.
So we are going to conclude with the most important thing, money, which comes out of digital. So can you elaborate on how we've actually worked together to increase revenue in spurts, at least during the digital, and your belief in that journey, and how would you be investing into the digital media to actually grow your revenue as a journey, your thought process in that space, if you can elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, money has never been my thing, so.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. Because we see revenue is
Yes, yes.
for the institution.
No, absolutely. Firstly, we never had a budget to pay for an event. I mean, an art management company. That never used to be in our plan. So are we wasting this money on month, because we're not doing. Initially, at least, we're not thinking of doing things month on month. Now we are doing things week on week. So that way, it's like it's not just about paying for I'm talking about first what we're paying you, not.
So that's about my revenue.
Yeah. So it's not about just. It's not like just for the news to go out, but it's kind of a mentorship in the reverse. We are being mentored into how we present ourselves, and I think that's super crucial, and I think the fees for that is very less in that sense. Yeah. But revenue-wise, yes, I think we have experimented rather boldly, and I think the workshops, especially the workshops during the pandemic, really worked, because, and then we actually even thought, should we even have live classes, because the workshops are actually paying a lot more than live sessions. So, I mean, that was a question. We were not going to do that. But the workshops, structuring of the workshops and presenting them in a certain format, marketing them in a certain format, reaching to certain people. Earlier, it was a very small group of people that would have come to know by word of mouth. But now we are actually getting hits which are beyond word of mouth, beyond the known circle. So Appa was very good with his networking, but his networking was limited within that, small section of Alvarpet, Adyar and Mylapore. But after that was hard. But this, I think we have got, and even hits on the website. So we worked on the website as well. And the calls we are getting for online classes, which invariably get converted to offline classes, and the call and random calls. They are not people who know about the Dhananjayans. They have seen Bharathakalanjali's space. They have seen how Bharathakalanjali works. They've seen the website. They've seen the social media pages, and then they're calling, and they're interested to learn. So they are not coming here to learn so that those are the revenue streams that have slowly opened up. Of course, we still have to work with bringing in revenues for large productions, and I think that's generally everybody struggling with that in the art scene. So that is something we'll have to crack for the future. But yes, when it comes to regular classes, even now after our shift, we moved from Adyar to Taramani, and we realized we are going to lose a group of the students, because a lot of them are walking to class, but now they're going to have to come by scooter. So we did that whole thing exercise. How many people are walking? How many people are coming by cycle? How many by scooter? How many by cars? We did that whole thing. And then we realized we have to also, access a new group of, because we have the space. So from 100, we eventually, over 3 years, we should be trying to make it 300 or 400 students. And that's slowly that's building out. So, yeah, I hope that answers that.
Yeah, that's awesome. You said a lot of good things about us, so thank you for that.
You want me to say
No. We've heard enough, and then people think that I've prepped you for it. So, so thank you so much, Satyajit.
You can't prep me, no. That's it.
So thank you so much.
Thank you.